In the year 2026, the simmering tensions between the United States and Iran, a geopolitical dance decades in the making, finally reached a catastrophic crescendo. This is the story of how the world descended into an unprecedented crisis, and the profound, perhaps irreversible changes it wrought. From the 1953 CIA-backed coup to the seismic 1979 Islamic Revolution and the subsequent hostage crisis, a deep-seated antagonism became the bedrock of U.S.-Iran relations. The Iran-Iraq War, Iran's pursuit of nuclear technology, and a crippling regimen of international sanctions, each event a deliberate chisel, shaping a relationship defined by mistrust and strategic rivalry. The landmark JCPOA offered a brief, fragile détente, only to be dismantled, accelerating both nations towards an almost inevitable collision. By 2020, the geopolitical landscape was already a tinderbox, a relentless barrage of cyber warfare, targeting critical infrastructure and financial systems became the new front line. Proxy conflicts in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq intensified, with regional militias acting as extensions of Tehran's influence, directly challenging American interests and allies. Satellite imagery confirmed a dramatic military buildup in the Persian Gulf. U.S. carrier groups, advanced missile defense systems, and Iranian coastal batteries stood poised. Diplomatic channels, once pathways to de-escalation, calcified into conduits of ultimatums, leaving no room for retreat. Then in early 2026, the spark ignited. Whether a covert operation gone awry, a sophisticated cyber attack crippling naval communications, or a tragic misunderstanding in the crowded Strait of Hormuz, the precise trigger remains debated. But the incident, whatever its nature, was deemed an act of war by both Washington and Tehran. News channels globally flashed with breaking alerts. The Rubicon had been crossed. The UN Security Council convened in emergency sessions, but the pleas for restraint were drowned out by the roar of approaching conflict. The U.S. response was formidable, a projection of overwhelming force designed to neutralize Iran's strategic assets with surgical precision. Aircraft carriers surged into the Gulf, fighter jets screamed off runways, and long-range cruise missiles struck deep inside Iranian territory, targeting command centers, missile sites, and logistical hubs. Simultaneously, a global cyber offensive aimed to cripple Iran's digital infrastructure. Yet Iran was far from a conventional foe. Its doctrine of asymmetric warfare, refined over decades, unleashed a complex web of countermeasures. Swarms of drones targeted shipping, sophisticated anti-ship missiles threatened naval routes, and a well-developed cyber army retaliated against American and allied networks. Crucially, Iran's regional proxies, long cultivated and armed, sprang into action, opening multiple new fronts across the Middle East. The economic fallout was immediate and devastating. Global oil prices didn't just spike, they shattered all previous records, plunging the world into an unprecedented energy crisis. Supply chains, already fragile from years of disruption, collapsed as shipping through the Strait of Hormuz became perilous. Stock markets plummeted worldwide, wiping trillions from global wealth as major economies braced for a severe, prolonged recession. The humanitarian cost was equally catastrophic. Millions were displaced, fleeing the expanding conflict zones, creating a refugee crisis that overwhelmed international aid organizations. Basic necessities became luxuries, and the region's cultural heritage, already scarred by decades of conflict, faced new threats of destruction. International efforts to mediate were ceaseless but largely ineffective. The UN, once a beacon of diplomacy, found itself sidelined by the rapid pace of events and the intransigence of both sides. Calls for a ceasefire were met with preconditions, and peace plans dissolved amidst the continued fighting. Major global powers found themselves navigating a perilous new geopolitical landscape, forced to choose sides or risk being drawn into the vortex. As the conflict wore on, the world began to grapple with the long-term implications. The conflict of 2026 fundamentally reshaped the global energy market, accelerated a shift towards new economic blocs, and tested the very foundations of international law. It also forced a grim reevaluation of military doctrines in an era of hybrid warfare and advanced technology. The enduring question, as the echoes of battle faded, remained stark. Had humanity, through this brutal crucible, finally learned the true cost of unchecked geopolitical rivalry? Or were we merely witnessing another tragic chapter in an ancient, unending cycle of conflict, destined to repeat the mistakes of the past?